Welcome to the Courage to Change with Karen podcast, the place where we get real about addiction recovery and celebrate the victories against struggle. I'm Karen Gardner, your navigator on this journey of healing, committed to uplifting families touched by addiction. Together, let's unravel the intricate dance of mind, body, and spirit with compassion, tenacity, and steadfast commitment. Hi, and welcome to Courage to Change with Karen, episode 12. Today, I'm going to read a reading out of Courage to Change, dated March 4th. It's on page 64. The slogan, "Think," always puzzled me. That's a slogan in Al-Anon, just the word think. The slogan, "Think," always puzzled me. Wasn't it my stinking thinking that got me into trouble? The meaning of this slogan remained a mystery until I heard a neighbor's child reciting some safety rules he'd learned in school. Stop, look, and listen. Before I get into trouble, before I open my mouth to react, or get lost in obsessive analysis of another person's behavior, or worrying about the future, I can stop. Then I can look at what is going on and my role in it. Then I can listen for spiritual guidance that will remind me of my options and help me find healthy words and actions. So when something unkind is said to me, I don't automatically have to get into a loud, vicious argument. Instead, I can take a moment to think. I can stop, look, and listen. Then I might be able to engage calmly in discussion or simply walk away. If I do choose to enter the argument, at least I am now making this decision consciously rather than letting life decide for me. Today's reminder: this day is a beautiful room that's never been seen before. Let me cherish the seconds, the minutes, and the hours I spend here. Help me think before I speak and pray before I act. And then there's one more little thing down here. It says, the program helps me gain the freedom to make wise choices that are good for me. I choose to put that freedom to work in my life today. Well, I like this reading. I mean, if you've been following me, you know this is what I talk about. Pause, stop. Take a minute to think before you respond, right? Instead of reacting to someone, just stop. And I've talked about this in previous episodes, watching the show. Don't be the show. Just stop. And sometimes this really throws people off. When I started doing this, sometimes, people are like, they're talking to me or whatever they're doing, arguing or screaming, whatever. And I'm standing there and I'm just listening. I just decide to watch them. And I try to separate myself out. And sometimes they'll look at me and say, "What's wrong with you? Say something," And I'm like, I'm just listening to you. Happens on the phone a lot. I've gotten so much better at this. If I'm talking to my daughter and she's talking, I had a terrible habit of interrupting her especially, but anybody that seemed like they were in angst. I was constantly interrupting because I knew I could fix it. I knew what to say. I had an answer. I had a solution, right? I could help. And I think it was my daughter who said, you don't listen. You don't listen to me. So I started really listening. And I made a real effort to not interrupt people. She will talk to me and I will sit and listen until she says, "Hello? Hello? Are you still there?" And I say, "Yes, I'm here. I'm just listening." And sometimes she'll stop talking for a second. And I'll think, okay, it's my time to talk. And then she starts talking again. And that amazes me. Like, she has more to say. Like, she needs to get it out. And so many people need to talk. And they just need someone to listen. And I'm working on it. I'm working on it. But boy, if I think back to all the times I've jumped in and interrupted and volunteered or, come up with some idea that somehow involved me, of course, how much time I would have saved and effort if I would have just listened and let them come up with a solution. And a lot of times people can come up with their own solutions, So one of the things, I've got these little tricks that I use myself. I'll share some of them with you. One is I just zip it. That emoji with the zipper across his mouth. That's what I imagine now. Just zip it. Listen. And then when someone asks me, what do you think about, what should I do about this? Or what am I going to do? Oh my God, what am I going to do? And I say, well, what do you want to do? What do you think? Before I ever say anything. Because they might be on a totally different track of solution than me. I go right for the juggler on solutions. And they might need just a little bit of a little solution, right? So I've learned to say, well, what do you think? And then if they ask me another question, I'll say, if people ask me questions that cross my boundary, that are in my hula hoop, someone will just say something like, why do you always do that? Or what are you doing on Friday? What are you going to spend the money on? What kind of car are you going to? I always say, why do you ask? Why do you ask? Because a lot of times the reason they're asking is not what I'm reacting to, right? I think I know everything. I guess that's what I'm saying. So I've learned these little tricks about how to respond differently. Pause. Pause when agitated or doubtful, right? Ask the creator for some help. What do I do here? Because I've done work on this, I know when someone has crossed the line or is in my hula hoop, and I know when to leave. And I have a plan to leave, to either get in my car. If I don't have my car, I have an Uber on my app, Uber app on my phone. I'm going to leave, right, if things escalate, because nothing can be solved in escalation. So, these kind of things, just think for a minute, stop, look, listen. It feels like when you're in a relationship with an alcoholic or addict, everything seems Mach 5 hair on fire, doesn't it? Oh my God, everything's urgent. If your kid's sick and has mental health issues or drug and alcohol, everything is urgent. You're frantic to help. You don't want to miss an opportunity. You don't want them to suffer another minute. And so there's a lot of this quick reaction. And it does not work. I'm just going to tell you, it does not work. It is better, even if you're sitting there and you're talking to a doctor, who's looking after your child, let's say, and they have things to say that you don't like, just listen. Just listen. Just sit there and listen to them. Hear them out. Don't respond. Don't quit them. Because you don't know if you're going to need them before you get a new one. Don't do anything. Just no rash. My girlfriend used to say, he who speaks first loses. Just let people talk. Don't be so anxious. Don't interfere with the process of what's happening, right? Watch the show. Don't be the show. And think about it. And if somebody approaches you, let's say you have a drug addict son who says, hey, I need to borrow, $50. I need gas for my car. And the last time that you sent them with $50, they put $10 in their tank and spent 40 on drugs, right? Or booze. So you're hesitant and you don't know what to do. Like, oh my God, I don't know what to do here. How do I say no? It's going to be a big fight. You can always say, let me think about it. Can I think about it? And then when you think about it, you can say, oh, you know what I'll do? I've got to get gas anyway. I'll have them meet me there and I'll fill up their tank. Right? I mean, then you know where the money's going. Bring me a receipt. That's not going to work. They'll just get a receipt from a friend or go to the gas station, pull a receipt out of the trash, very resourceful alcoholics and addicts. So, if you ask someone, can I think about it? How about, we're having a bake sale. Can you bring cookies and a cake for the church bake sale? And you're thinking, oh, Jesus, I am so busy. I don't know how I can do one more thing. Oh, God, yes. Yeah, I'd be happy to, right? Be happy to. And then you go, oh, geez, add that to the to-do list. Instead, you can say, can I think about it? I am so busy right now. I'm not sure if I can do that. Let me think about it. And then you can think about it. And then maybe you think, oh, you know what? I'll just pick up something at the grocery store. Or I'll order those, crumble cookies or whatever. You can think about it. Or you could call them back and say, or text them, better. I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to provide anything at the bake sale this year. Next year, hit me up next year, So, but you can't respond like that when you're just rapid firing responses to people. You just lose all control of your life. You lose control of your boundaries. You lose peace of mind. And you have to stop. You have to stop. And it's so hard when you're in like I said, Mach 5, hair on fire. Everything's going down the toilet. But no, it's not. Everything's just the way it's supposed to be. So I like that. Stop, look, and listen. I think about, this really makes me think, you got to be older to understand this analogy. But for those of you that are maybe around my age, did you ever watch Murder, She Wrote? Well, I went back and rewatched Murder, She Wrote on, I think it was Peacock. And I noticed that she would be in these precarious situations, right? She'd be in the room with a bunch of people and one person kills the other person and everyone's reacting and she just stands there and she watches, right? She's not a big reactor. She's very controlled, this character, and very revered by people in the community. She gets things done. She'll figure out who the murderer was, but she watches people. She tries to figure it out. What are they doing? Why are they doing that? What's going on here? And she has much more control over her little world in Cabot Cove, and she's well respected by the townspeople. And she has a pretty good life. She just does it. She's just not rapid firing is what I mean. And I don't know why that stuck out to me when I watched it, but I really was watching the character herself. And even in crisis situations, she was pretty calm, really thinking, asking people, well, how about if I get back to you? Well, I'm going to come back and talk to you. Or, just, I don't know, maybe a show like that where you just really watch the character control their time and their money. And she's an interesting character on there. I think it's a good watch. For that reason, I like to watch shows and see, a good example would be this. Here's another one. Here's a great example, right? What is it called? The Andy Griffith Show. Now, Andy is not a reactor. He's a responder. He's calm, he's cool, he's collected. Barney Fife is a reactor. Always chaotic, always in crisis, always something's going on. He's got his foot in it again. That's a great analogy to see how calm and cool, and you can be calm and cool. I think we're more helpful when we're calm and cool. I wish I would have known this a long time ago. That's why I'm telling you, if I would have known this in the height of my crises, first thing, I'm going to spend so much money because I was throwing money at problems right and left, right? Just anything to make this better. And I wouldn't have set up so many resentments with people for stepping on toes. I mean, really, that fixer personality is obnoxious and it's hard on people. Wears people out. It wore me out, So I really liked the reading today. I hope you did too. I want to make sure you all know that in April 16th, I'm going to start a 6 weeks with Karen program. And I'm going to go through everything I know about addiction, alcoholism, codependency, in a very interesting and fun way. I'm going to share with you everything I know. If you happen to have needs of knowing about treatment, I mean, I know all about treatment. I know about insurance. I know about how to get someone to treatment, what to do if they leave and walk out. I can help you with specific needs as well. And as a bonus, we're going to go through the 12 steps of Al-Anon. So, it's going to be kind of a tight little schedule there for 6 weeks to get all that done. But it should be fun, and it should be a great way to get some support and get to know each other. I also have a Courage to Change podcast on Facebook. Please come and join if you'd like to be a part of a community. I've gotten a few messages lately from people who aren't digging the Al-Anon where they're at. And they're not digging the Zoom, and they need some support. And so that's what I'm trying to create here. That's the whole idea of this, is to get people, like-minded people, on the same path, supporting each other. There's no way you could do this alone. That's for sure. And I would like to share with you what I've learned the hard way so you don't have to do it, to be honest. So I'm going to put in the links. I'm going to put a few links in this podcast, in the show notes. I am going to put a link to the Courage to Change Facebook group. And I'm going to put a link to my 6 weeks with Karen, starting April 16th. And I also have another link for you. If you're new to this whole Al-Anon business, Nar-Anon business, dealing with an alcoholic, whether you're going to Al-Anon, Nar-Anon, or you're going to a therapist, or whatever you're doing, you're watching stuff online, YouTube, there's key words that they use in Al-Anon, in any kind of recovery, codependency recovery. And they should just use them in every relationship. Really, we should be taught this when we're kids. But there's 10 key words that I have picked out that you hear all the time in these programs and therapy that you kind of think you know what it means, but you don't. And maybe you do, but you don't know how it applies to you. So I've written this little glossary of 10 of the most used Al-Anon, Nar-Anon, Gam-Anon, whatever Anon you're in. These great phrases, words that are used all the time. And I've given a description to them, very basic, understandable description, and an example. And I think the examples are really good. They're really plain, but they're everyday, just real quick. It's not a big read, but it's really worth your time. I usually sell that on my stand store, but on my podcast, I give it away for free. So it will get you on my email list and get you into all the different community support things that I do. So I hope to see you there. And like I said, those links are in the show notes, the description of this podcast. And I can't wait to see you next week. Don't forget to subscribe. Have a great day.